Russian President Vladimir Putin today told Turkish President Tayyip Recep Erdogan that Russia was open to discussions about the Black Sea grain deal, an agreement that helped get Ukraine's grain to the world market and thus ease a global food crisis. Russia quit the deal in July, a year after it was brokered by the United Nations and Turkey, complaining that its own food and fertilizer exports faced obstacles and that not enough Ukrainian grain was going to countries in need. Erdogan, who previously played a significant role in convincing Putin to stick with the deal and the United Nations, are now trying to get Putin to return to the deal. Speaking at the opening of their meeting today in the Black Sea resort of Sochi, Putin told Erdogan that he hoped they would wrap up their talks on a natural gas hub in Turkey and said they would also discuss the grain deal. Putin said, and I quote, "I know that you intend to raise the issue of the grain deal. We're open to negotiations on this question." Erdogan said the world was waiting for news on the grain corridor issue. "Everyone is waiting for what will come out of our meeting today. I believe that the message of the press conference after the meeting will be an important step for the whole world, especially for African countries." Now, the deal is primarily aimed at getting grain from Ukraine to world markets through the Black Sea and easing, as we said, a global food crisis that the United Nations has said has only worsened since the Ukraine war began in February last year. Russia and Ukraine are two of the world's key agricultural producers and major players in the wheat, barley, maize, rapeseed oil, sunflower seed and sunflower oil markets. Now, ahead of these talks, Ukrainian officials said Russia launched an overnight air attack on one of Ukraine's major grain exporting ports. Putin has said Russia could return to the grain deal if the West fulfills a separate memorandum agreed on with the United Nations to facilitate Russian food and fertilizer exports. While Russian exports of food and fertilizers are not subject to Western sanctions imposed after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Moscow has said restrictions on payments, logistics and insurance have hindered shipments. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has said he had sent Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov a set of concrete proposals aimed at reviving the deal. One of Moscow's main demands is for the Russian Agricultural Bank to be reconnected to the SWIFT international payments system. The European Union cut it off in June 2022 as part of sweeping sanctions imposed on Moscow in response to its invasion of Ukraine.
Of course, we will not bypass the issues related to the Ukrainian crisis. I know you intend to raise questions about the grain deal. We are open to negotiations on this issue. Of course, the most important step. Today, everyone is looking at the grain corridor issue in Turkey-Russia relations during this visit. They are waiting to see what will come out from here today regarding the grain corridor. I believe that the message to be given to the world with a press conference after our meeting will be very important, especially a step towards the underdeveloped African countries.
All right, let's go back to Shri for more on this story. Shri, at least as far as the Black Sea grain deal is concerned, you would think Erdogan seems to have his heart in the right place. He's been pushing for it for a long time. He made it happen along with the United Nations last year, but then we know how the deal fell apart. Now, Russia, giving hope to many, is saying we're open to resuming the deal, provided our conditions are met by the West. At the very least, we need to be reconnected to the SWIFT international banking and financial system. And they're also talking about certain other hindrances that need to be lifted as a result of the Western sanctions. The question really is, how close do you think Erdogan and the United Nations really are to convincing Putin to rethink his stance on this very, very important deal, which obviously is, something that is impacting global food security?
So, Neha, the first thing I would like to note is the body language of Putin as he met Erdogan. If you see, he seems far more comfortable dealing with Erdogan because, they're old friends. So I think that's one positive thing. Now, if you remember, this deal, when it was first signed last year, was meant to last for only 120 days. But then it was renewed automatically for, every month. So now, after that, what happened is Russia started, like, it attacks, and it also started delaying the shipments out of Odessa, which is the principal port in the Black Sea, which is like the major transit. So that slowed down a lot of shipments. And Erdogan personally has been at the receiving end as a country, Turkey, because once the war broke out and there was a complete stoppage of shipments from the Black Sea ports, including Odessa, which is the largest, food prices in Turkey went up by 70%. Now, why is Ukraine so important, and Russia also, but Ukraine more so, because Ukraine has traditionally been the breadbasket for Europe. It has 30% of the world's black soil, which is considered to be one of the most fertile soil. So Ukraine is a major supplier of wheat, sunflower oil, many other items. And with Ukraine, stopping supply of these items, inflation had shot up. And now we are at a situation where the world doesn't want to go back to a position where food prices become again inflated. A lot of countries are going to election. US definitely is going to election next year, and food and inflation remains a very, very significant theme in this part of the world, Neha, where the US Federal Reserve is still talking about keeping an eye on interest rates to cool inflation. So I think there has to be some sort of a give and take if Russia wants to be led back in the SWIFT system to start exporting its allowing Ukraine to start exporting and also allowing it to step up its own exports, because although Russia's food grains are not part of the sanctions, the fact is the ships that are going to carry these grains were put under sanctions. So if I don't have a company which is approving my seaworthiness for ships, if I cannot get reinsurance, I mean, ports will not allow me. So how do I, ship? So that is where, India had stepped in, and India's, shipping registrar had, approved certain ships, more than 80 ships. So India has been helping. But the fact is, it's very important for Russia to be brought back into the global financial system, which is SWIFT, for it to start, talking about some normalcy in terms of food supplies in any significant way, Neha.
Will the West be willing to relent is perhaps a significant question. Then let's certainly hope that this deal does come back to life, because the entire world needs it